Good morning, everyone who's entering the room. I'm going to give it a minute or two for everyone to join. We had quite a few people signed up today, which is very exciting. So I'm going to give it, like I said, just a couple more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. To everyone that's joining, I'm just giving it another minute or so. I'll probably just start with the introductions at 12:02. But you're more than welcome to utilize the chat, say hi. We'll try to keep this as engaging as possible during what's probably most of your lunch hours. And I hope the content will be very useful for you. And we're going to get started, like I said, at 12:02. Someone asked a great question. Will this be recorded? The answer is yes, we will be recording this and putting it on our Temple SBDC YouTube channel. The recording link will also be sent out to all of the attendees today. So great question. All right, good morning, Dawn and Dawn. Thank you for putting some good morning greetings into the chat. I guess it's actually afternoon now, huh? It's already lunchtime. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here. Today you are joining us for Marketing on a Shoestring. And obviously that title lends itself to marketing on a budget, right? So we are small businesses who are short on time and often short on funds. And marketing is one of those aspects of being a business that can often fall to the wayside if you don't have both of those items. We are also obviously in the middle of a pandemic. Things are looking a little bit better, but it was really tough there for a while and still remains tough for a lot of small businesses. And unfortunately, looking at marketing and adding extra things to the budget can be really difficult during these times, which is one of the reasons we're going to be putting on this webinar, is to basically come up with some really great ideas and goals for you as a small business, and tools that you can utilize so that you can get the best out of your marketing, and the time that you invest in marketing is well spent. Because one thing that we will learn is you can't do no marketing. It's really difficult to run a business and not market yourself at all. And we are in an ever increasingly digitalized world. So I'm sure, as most of you know already, getting online, having a presence on social media and all of those things just becomes more and more important every day. And we're going to be touching on those things in this webinar. So before we get started, I'm just going to do our brief introduction. I work at the Temple University Small Business Development Center. For any of you that have attended our webinars before, you've probably heard this little spiel, but we are part of a nationally accredited network of small business development centers. There are actually over 1,000 SBDCs in the United States. And Temple is part of the Pennsylvania network. So if you're located in Pennsylvania, there are 16 different SBDCs here in PA. At Temple University, we focus on Philadelphia, Eastern Montgomery, and Lower Bucks County. So that's our kind of area of community that we focus on. We are proudly supported by the Small Business Administration, the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, and of course, our host, Temple University. We offer a variety of business education programming, student connections, workshops, webinars like the one you're on today. And of course, our bread and butter is our one-on-one consulting. So if after this webinar, you're thinking that you would like to meet with someone one-on-one to get additional advice or next steps, you are more than welcome to do so by registering on our website. All of our consulting is at completely no cost to you as a small business owner. So who am I? My name is Sarah Mayu. I am our Digital Transformation Program Manager. I have been working with small businesses for quite some time. I started at Temple SBDC right at the new year. So I'm excited to work with this new market. But prior to that, I did spend quite a few years working at the Delaware Small Business Development Center. So I'm very familiar with the region and helping small businesses. I have a variety of different, experiences in marketing and small business that have helped shape me in my role. And I'm actually a solopreneur myself, which I like to tell just because I can relate to a lot of what some small businesses are going through right now. I've been through the run a little bit myself, and I have experienced what it's like to, get your LLC and figure out if you want to have additional consultants and all of that kind of stuff. So with all of that, some of my specialty areas are obviously marketing, and I also focus on international business, startup businesses that are ideating and looking to commercialize. In my role at Temple SBDC, you are more than welcome to talk to me about any of those items, any of our upcoming training programs, and our marketing. So what are we going to talk about today? Here's just a brief outline of what we're going to be discussing. First, I'm going to be setting the tone for marketing on a budget. So what does that mean? What does that look like? What are some realistic expectations in this space? And then we're going to start with the question that I think many small businesses have, which is, okay, well, you're telling me that it's possible to market on a small budget. Where do I even start? So I'm going to have us start with some, thinking questions to kind of get you in the right mindset for what do I even want my marketing to look like? Because then that will really shape which of these tools that we're going to go over today will be useful for you as a small business. And I have a great lineup of different tools that are going to help you. And I have put them in a linear fashion, kind of going from how to help you create content to how to help you get the content out. And then I have a variety of other fun tools for us to look at as well. And every single tool I'm going to be talking about today has a free option. It's no cost. Some of them will have premium ones that you can pay for, but they all have free options, which is why we're talking about them today, because you don't know what you don't know. And some of these tools are super helpful as a small business that you can definitely utilize time and time again. So first, we're going to set the tone with marketing on a budget, right? This is just my first intro slide. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I just want to put in everyone's mind the idea of what is marketing, because it really runs the gamut. Marketing is so many different things. It's being on social media, it's having a website. Are you doing anything in public relations? Have you done market research on who you're even trying to reach? What's your branding look like? Your pricing strategy is part of your marketing. Are you doing like direct door-to-door marketing? Do you have a retail location? All of those things tie into your presence. And I think that's really overwhelming because you don't necessarily have to touch on all of those at all times. They're always kind of in the back of your mind, like, well, how can I be better at having an Instagram presence? Or how can I be better at growing my organic, traction through human to human interaction and all of that. So we're going to be talking about tools that'll help you with a lot of this marketing today. But I do have to put the disclaimer out there that we could spend hours upon hours talking about marketing and free marketing tools. So this is going to be a great start for many of you, but it's just the beginning, I promise. There's so much out there to help you as a small business owner. I put this quote on the right because I think it really sums up what you should be trying to accomplish with your marketing. The New York Times said it really well. They said, marketing is the art of telling stories so enthralling that people lose track of their wallets. And that's kind of your goal, right? So when we talk about these tools and what you're trying to get out of the marketing that you're doing, you want people to come in and spend money, right? You want your marketing to be so aesthetically pleasing or so eye-catching or so colorful, that or has such a great tagline that people say, I identify with that, and then they just come and they gravitate to you and your product. So that's the goal. And I'm just going to put that out there for you to start thinking about as we move forward. How do you think you can accomplish that goal? How will you help people lose track of their wallets at your store, or at your website? So what is marketing on a budget, right? That's a little different. We're talking about being lean. And obviously lean startup is a very popular phrase, especially anyone in like the entrepreneurial academic world. That's something that people talk about on a high level very often. But when you're boots on the ground, when you're actually a small business, you probably don't even know that that's what you're doing, is being lean in your approach to starting a business. On the right here, I have this colorful head that just goes over, like I said, a couple of the different things you want to consider when you're marketing on a budget, right? Are you doing print advertising or online advertising? Do you have a website, email marketing, social media? A lot of what we're going to talk about today will focus on digital, right? Because that's where everyone's at right now, getting online, having a website, how to make your social media look better, et cetera, et cetera. But marketing on a budget really comes down to conserving money and bringing in results, right? So I really want to put that phrase up here at the front for a reason. You want to bring results. That is the key. You can't just market, and even if you're using these free tools, you still have to spend time, and time is also a precious resource to use these tools, and making sure that you actually are bringing in a result with your marketing is really key. This FYI just put out here not to scare people, because I know this is the marketing on a budget webinar, but there is a recommendation by the SBA that most small businesses on average do actually spend 7 to 8% of their gross revenue on marketing. That's not me saying you have to spend that much. If you spend less than that, you can be fine. If you spend more than that, you can be fine. But that's the average, and I'm only saying that because a lot of the tools we'll talk about today are free. But I can't come to you honestly and say you will never spend money on marketing, because it's just not true. Sometimes paid advertising or pay-per-clicks or any of those can be really helpful in gaining new customers. So I know that's not the focus of today, but I am going to put that disclaimer out there that you might want to consider at some point, if you have the money, what would be next steps in terms of using part of your budget for marketing, because that's very common. But today we're going to help you with some free tools, right? So how to accomplish things on a budget? I just have a couple ideas here, right? Some of which we're going to talk about today, some of which we're not. Blogs are a really great way to add a human element to your marketing, which is completely free. You can just add it to your website or do a running blog on like your Facebook or your Instagram, like make a picture blog. A lot of people do that on Instagram, and really share your content and share your stories, and it's completely free. And then you can have people share those links. So that's just one idea, obviously. Having a presence on YouTube and social media is a must, as I'm sure most of you know by now. Cross-promoting with partners is key. Small businesses that have synergies with other small businesses, like if you're a bakery and you sell desserts and the shop right next to you is a dining, like dinner or evening restaurant, partner together and maybe sell the desserts in the restaurant, or create marketing flyers together to do like a deal where people get dinner and then, they get a discount on the dessert, or vice versa, So in an age of COVID, getting creative with some ways to find new people is promoting with other partners, right? People that are reaching consumers that you aren't currently touching. User-generated content is huge. And I know that sounds like a fancy word, but really all that means is if you have a social media presence and it's easy to find you and people buy your products, encourage them to share it on their social media and tag you in it. Having the consumer generate marketing for you is a huge win, and it costs nothing. So that's something to definitely consider. So these are all just little points to think about, but obviously the big one today is we're going to talk about using these free tools, right? So when we move forward, we need to think about where to start. And I'm a huge market research fanatic, so that's why I put a lot of emphasis on this. I've seen too many small businesses fail because they didn't plan ahead, right, in terms of their marketing. And they just said, oh, I need to be out there and I'll just make a Twitter and I'll make an Instagram, but I don't have the time to update them regularly. And I'm not even really sure what I should be putting on them. And I kind of have a website, but I don't update it often. And it gets really overwhelming really quickly, right? So starting with a plan is really helpful. And I'm not saying this is something you have to spend a ridiculous amount of time on. Even spending like 30 minutes to an hour just jotting down an outline for yourself before you start downloading a bunch of random tools will help shape the idea of what you're trying to accomplish, right? So I have this 5-tier plan that I have over here on the right. Is start with some market research. You do need to know who you're trying to reach, right? So before you even use these tools, are you on the right platforms to reach them? It doesn't matter if you have the best content in the world if you're not reaching the right people. So doing some preliminary research on, where are my customers even at? Are they coming to my website? Are they coming to my Facebook? Just to figure out where your time is best spent. Next would be describing your product, right? So this is something I talk about with ideation, businesses in the ideation stage all the time is use the napkin test. So if you can draw your product on a napkin and only use 4 to 5 words to say what it is, will people get it? And I know for some products that's easier said than done, and for some it's really, really easy. Like I said, if you're a bakery and you sell donuts and stuff, you might say, oh, I'm just drawing a donut and calling it a donut. But I encourage you to think a little bit more deeper than that, because you're not just selling a donut. Why are they coming to you? What's your unique value? They're coming to you because you're a local bakery with a big town feel, with expert customer service. I mean, with what? So being able to describe that whole product is really key. When you come into marketing, you don't have to be a marketer to come up with cool taglines and things like that. Just coming up with some really keywords, right, that you can use throughout your marketing. And you can have your current customers or your family or someone, troubleshoot that with you. Then you have to come up with some strategies, right? And I have all these strategies defined over here on the left. Are you doing networking, advertising, training, et cetera? We've kind of talked about that already. You don't have to do all of these strategies, but make sure you have an idea of which direction you'd like to go. Define your budget. Right now we're talking about low budget, right? So that's what the rest of this webinar is going to be. But like I said, you can't never ever spend money on marketing. It's really difficult to do so. So making sure you're realistic when you're thinking into the future in the next 3-5 years, what could you expect from marketing in terms of, your time and money and commitment. And then set goals. That's why I mentioned that on the previous slide. If your goal is to bring in 100 followers, for example, on your Instagram, then you can take tangible steps to get to that goal, right? It actually sets you up for success because you know what you're trying to reach. And with, if it's been a couple weeks and you're not seeing that traction, then you kind of know to change your strategy a little bit. But if you don't come at marketing with an idea of what you want out of it in mind, you often end up floundering, right? You're just like, oh, I'm just putting stuff out there, but is it really doing anything? If you don't have a goal of what it's supposed to be doing, you don't really know, right? So I like to plug that there. Just like I said, these are the thinking questions first. When you start using these tools, making sure it's not just marketing on a budget because of money. You're marketing on a budget because you want to save time, conserve time. And when you go about marketing, you want that ROI, right? That return on investment of your time. So setting some tangible goals for yourself is really helpful. So what's out there to help you? There are a ton of free products out there to help you as a small business owner. And these are a splay of them. They're definitely not all of them. We're going to talk about most of these today. You can see it really runs the gamut because marketing is huge, right? So you have ones that help you with creating content, ones that help you with your website, ones that help you come up with keywords, like BuzzSumo helps you come up with keywords for your business to help promote it. Felicia said she uses a lot of these. Yeah, they're great. We're going to talk about most of these today, but I always put and more down at the bottom of the screen because there are so many out there. These are some of the ones that are a little bit more user-friendly, which is why we're talking about them today, that can really help you get started with some content design. But you will see later in the presentation, I actually include one of my favorite things is to hyperlink, right? Because you all get a copy of this PowerPoint at the end. And I really like providing additional resources, right? Making some tangible next steps for all of you. So one of my slides is just a list of resource links. And it's like 50 top free tools for small business, 100 top free tools for small business. And this isn't me vetting them and saying use every single one of them, but just, you can do some research and see what else is out there besides what I'm going over today. But these are definitely some of the most popular, and even I use most of these in my everyday work life. So the first step, like I said, I'm going to go about this in a linear fashion. It's if you're thinking about how do I want to market? I know I want to market, but I'm not sure how to make my content look nice. Right now, I'm just posting sentences on different platforms, or maybe you haven't even gotten that far. You're trying to figure out how you get nice pictures. One of the easiest ways to do so is use a program called Canva. If anyone wants to put in the chat if they've heard of Canva, haven't heard of Canva, I'd love to hear what we have in the room. We did an Etsy series about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the speaker brought up Canva once, and everyone in the chat freaked out. They were like, oh my gosh, Canva, what's Canva? I want to use it. So yeah, some of you have never heard of it. That's great. Some of you have heard of it, but don't really know what it is. And some of you use it. So we have like a pretty even three-way split here. So those of you who have used it already, this might be a little rudimentary for you on this stage. But because we have people from all different walks of using Canva in the room, I'm going to go over it in a little bit more detail. But Canva is a design graphic platform, right? So any of you who have never used it, it's completely free to create an account. I don't have a step-by-step how to create an account on this webinar just because it's so easy. Like you go to canva.com, choose an email, make a password, and then you end up with the screen, just like I have over here on the left, where it'll say, would you like to create a design? It gives you a bunch of design options. Like I said, a lot of the tools have freemium options, which means it's free, but then you can pay for premium. The paid subscription of Canva, you know, they have a Canva Pro and Canva Enterprise that have like additional functionality. I think Canva Pro is about, you know, $12 a month, $120, $130 a year, if you're interested, but you don't need that additional functionality for most. So Canva has been around for a relatively short amount of time, but they have really changed the game for small businesses, because before the big players in graphic design were, you know, Adobe Illustrator, anything in the Adobe suite, or people were just making things off of PowerPoint or Office, you know, Microsoft Publisher, which obviously a lot of people don't pay for those platforms. And especially with Adobe Illustrator, if any of you have heard that or used it, it's not very user-friendly. Dawn just said Canva is user-friendly. Yep, it's very user-friendly. For someone who has never done marketing before, it's a great place to start. When you have the free version, there is a ton of ease of use, and there are thousands of template options. And I do mean thousands. The only time you pay within the free platform is if you want one of their special images, which are priced at $1 per image. But put a hold on that, because the next thing I'm going to talk about after Canva are some ways to get free high quality images. So even if you're using the free Canva and you're like, oh, I really wanted this nice image, but I don't want to pay $1 for it, never fear. I'm going to show you some other ways to get those images. And I will just put this disclaimer out there that Canva is very picky with what they make a free image and what they don't. For the most part, their quote unquote paid images for the free account are all ones related to business, which figures, right? Like anything related to food business or small business. They often have those ones not as readily available as pictures of, like, you know, cake or the park or things like that, because they know who's using this platform. But put a hold on paying for images. I don't recommend it, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as you can see over here on the right, this is just a sampling of some of the different types of templates you can create in Canva. They have social media cards, they have presentations, so you can make PowerPoint presentations, you can make posters, email headers, like little rectangles, you can make business cards, even if you're utilizing different social media. So let's say you don't know the exact dimensions of an Instagram square versus the Facebook event cover more rectangle, they have all of those templates pre-made with the correct sizes in here. So no matter where you're trying to post an image, they have the sizing for you, which is really convenient. So what does Canva look like when you try to make an image? So I'm sorry, I'm going to go back one slide for a second. Can I do that? Oh, there we go. So like I said, there's the create the design button, right? You have your home page. It shows you all of your designs if you have any created. It lets you pick template options, right? You can literally just search like LinkedIn cover photo, Facebook, 8.5 by 11 flyer, postcard. I mean, it really has everything under the sun. And then it has a couple other functionalities that we'll talk about in a second. But let's say this is your first time entering Canva. You can click create a design and get started. And let's say you pick one of their pre-made templates. So I just clicked on the hand washing 101 flyer. Let's say I wanted to put this in my small business. You can just use some of these templates they already have and change some of the words. And you can just like click anywhere, anywhere on this flyer and change the words that you want. You can also change out the coloring. So you can see here, it says like I have blue as my main color. You can change the color. You can make it green, yellow, whatever you want. You can click on the words and change the font. You can change the size. There's a ton you can do there. And you can see they have a ton of different template options. So this is just me looking at flyers. They have over like 1,000 templates for flyers alone. and you can search through and try finding a flyer that matches the style you're looking for. You can utilize the search button and look for something specific, like, you know, evening flyer or food flyer. I mean, they have a lot that are pre-made already that look very nice, but then you also have the option to go in and edit, right? So let's say I liked this design, but I didn't want to do hand washing. I could change it to say, here's our services. Like I could just change this to say our services, and then change these underneath to describe my 4 services. And then these pictures, you can just move out and get new ones that are still in that circle. So we're going to talk about photos in a second, but you can take any of the photos they have and you literally just drag them to where you want them to go, and they'll fill that circle instead of the hands. So it's really easy to use their pre-made templates in that way. You also have the ability to start with a blank canvas if you wanted to. So that was templates. Like I said, the templates, like when you go to create design, you end up with this giant like tab on the left that just has all these different options. We just went over templates. The next would be photos, right? Like I said, so you can search for any kind of photo. Here are some examples like background, flowers, business, and find what you want. Some of them are paid, you know, paid prescription. Most of them are free. You have something called elements, which is one of my favorites because you can create so much here. They have a variety of stickers. So like, it's not limited to ice cream and donuts. I mean, they have a ton of stickers on food, you know, princesses, FBI agents, anything under the sun. I mean, it's really, really robust. You can make charts. If you're trying to, you know, create some kind of diagram that shows how well your sales are doing or anything like that, it's free to input them in there. You can add any kind of shape. And my favorite part is the frames, because this really lifts marketing, especially as a small business. So let's say you had a really cute image, but you don't want it to just be a box. You can make it a circle. You can make it a squiggly circle. You can make it a hexagon, a diagonal rectangle, a triangle. And you basically would pull this onto your design and then pull the photo into the frame, and it just fits it to that frame. So it's a really easy way to make your photos look way nicer. And then over here is text. So they give you some examples for, you know, making your text big, like this "Be Brave." You can also just choose the size based on heading, subheading, etc., and then choose any kind of font, choose any kind of size. What I really like about Canva is even if you don't know what you want your font to be, but you know you want it to be, like, let's say romantic, for example, you can just put in the search bar romantic and it'll try coming. It's not always the best at it, but it'll try coming up with things that kind of fit that vibe you're looking for, which is really cool. And I know, you know, for example, like Microsoft Word doesn't have that same functionality. So there's a lot you can do to customize in this space. Heather asked, can you or just was, I guess, telling us you are able to upload your own photos. Yes, you are. That's what this uploads button is. So I didn't go over that in too much detail. These are the photos that they have pre-made. You can also upload any of your own photos. So I encourage you to like upload your logo or anything else you have. And you can always do the exact same design elements with your own photos as well. All right, so next you have something called styles. This is really convenient for small businesses that have not really decide what they want their brand to be yet. You can create a brand in Canva. I think you need the pro version to save your brand kit, but you can also just use any of their styles that they already have. So let's say you really like Beliza. These greens and grays really work for you. You think that that font, and then the top font is the header font, and the smaller font would be like your, you know, description or your text box font. If you like it, you can create a flyer with that color scheme. And then let's say you go back into Canva a week or two later and want to make a postcard. You can make it. And let's say you made it in completely different colors, like yellow and orange. You can then go to styles, click on the exact same style here, and it'll just change the postcard graphic for you to match that same design element. So one of the biggest things when you're marketing is making sure all of your stuff looks similar. Not crazy similar, but similar enough that people can recognize that it's all your brand, it's all your business, right? And Canva allows you to do that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on audio video right now, but you can like add audio clips if you want to do little GIFs and things. Canva has recently updated their ability to make like little videos. and you can basically create like little segments and decide, I want it to be on this bit for 2 seconds, and then I want to change to this for another 2 seconds, and basically make like a moving pictures cartoon with a video and just like have it scroll through to actually look like a small advertisement. And we don't have a lot of time to spend on that today, but you might want to look into it if that sounds cool for you. And then all the way down at the bottom, background is similar to photos, just an FYI, but it's more like background wallpaper style. Folders is your folders for where you're saving your items in Canva. And then this more is just other apps that you can integrate. So what's really great about Canva is you can integrate it into your Facebook and just like make a graphic in Canva and then just post it to Facebook if you wanted to. You can put it on Instagram. You can do a lot. You can use emojis or connect with Pixabay, which I'll talk about in a second. And you can download it. You can download it as a PDF, as a JPEG, as a video. So there's a lot of functionality there. You can even add extra apps like YouTube if you're doing a lot of videos in Canva and you just want to upload them directly to your YouTube. And by the way, did I say this was free? So I am obsessed with Canva. I love the functionality here. This right here is me just basically saying, you know, Canva Pro does the brand kit. So if you want to spend the extra money so that you can design your own brand versus using one of their pre-made brands, you can, but like I said, this is a part of the premium option, but just want to let you know it exists. And now tangible next steps, right? You're like, okay, Canva is cool. I want to hear about those other tools too, Sarah, and I'm going to get there. But really quickly, I want to give you some tangible steps, right? So you're thinking Canva is really awesome looking. What can I use it for though? Like, what are some good ideas to use it to really increase my presence? Well, besides being able to make flyers and social media posts and cover photos and like even circle Facebook profile pictures, because I know it's really hard to find spacing for those. It does all of that. You can also utilize it for some other really cool stuff like Instagram stories. So if anyone uses Instagram frequently, you know that Instagram stories are a little bit different than just making an Instagram post. You can make stories on Canva and also have them send over to Instagram, which is really cool. You can highlight reviews, which is a thing that I think a lot of small businesses don't realize is something you can do to elevate your marketing. But an example over here on the right, let's say you had a client, right? User-generated content is a great way to, you know, do free marketing. Your consumer comes in and says, I love this product so much. I thought it was so great. Thank you so much. And you say, hey, would you mind like writing that down, or can I quote you and put that on my social media? And if they say yes, put that quote out there, share that, but put it in a graphic like this and make it look really fancy. And that's a huge way to elevate what's on your website in terms of your website or social media in terms of content, as well as aesthetics immediately. The other thing that's really cool about Canva is it's easy to share the designs with other people. So let's say you just want to create, you can just, you know, click the share button in Canva or share a link to the project you're working on and have people collaborate. Or I don't know, if you have other employees and you're like, can you just take a look at this really quick, but you don't want them to have access to the Canva account, you can just share a link to that one graphic to them. So it's really easy to cross promote as well. And then, like I said, with the branding kit and things like that, really creating that brand consistency is key as a small business. Someone just asked a really great question. Canva, well, I guess it wasn't a question, but let's see. Canva allows you to add a hyperlink to text. I've done this, but it never works with Instagram. Yeah, Canva is really tough with hyperlinks. Let me get through the presentation and then maybe I can touch back on that in a second, like towards the end, because you have to do something very specific. And a lot of the time, what I end up doing, not for Instagram in particular, but just because this person brought up the question, is if you download a flyer or something as a PDF, then you can create multiple hyperlinks like on the same document and send out to people with those links already in it, which is very cool. But that was a good question. I'm just, you know, being cognizant of our time. And as cool as Canva is, I want to talk about some other tools for everybody as well. So this was just me being a little funny here, right? How are you feeling about Canva? This is just a really good example of another way to engage consumers, right? You can have this go out on your Instagram or on your Facebook or something and encourage them to comment. So this isn't a free tool tip. This is just a marketing tip from Sarah. Make sure your marketing has some calls to action, a CTA, right? What is the consumer supposed to do after viewing your post? Are they supposed to comment down below? Are they supposed to go to your website and buy the product? Make that call to action clear. And then this is just an example of what it looks like when you click the download button, and you can download it or send it to a Facebook page, etc. So I could probably do an entire webinar on Canva, but I hope that's a good starting point for those of you that have heard of it, but have never used it before. It's very easy to start going and using. And for those of you that are using it, I'm glad to hear you like it so much. And I'm hoping some of these other tools will be really useful for you as well. So like I said before, right, if you have the free version of Canva, some of the photos, they make you pay $1 for. I would not recommend doing that because there are a ton of websites out there that let you download Adobe stock level, like professional photos for free. Here are 3 of them. You can go to unsplash.com, and I didn't include links because it's really easy. Unsplash.com, Pixabay.com, Pexels.com. All of them do almost the exact same thing. So let's say you were on Canva or even in PowerPoint or wherever you're trying to do your marketing, and you can't find a good image of people sitting in a restaurant for your restaurant website or your restaurant marketing, for example. And you go on Canva and they have a picture of a restaurant, but it says you have to pay $1 for it. Go to unsplash.com, go to pixabay.com and just type in, fancy restaurant, a restaurant with people sitting. And you'll find a lot of really great images on here. And these 3 platforms are all 100% free. So if you're looking for high quality images, which is a really great way to elevate your marketing quickly and easily, these sites are always free no matter what. Some of them do request, like if you have the ability to put the photographer's name at the bottom or something, just to give them airtime, because they are giving this photo out for free, but it's not required. It's just encouraged. Small business supporting another small business. But something to definitely look into are utilizing these programs. So that was the intro to maybe marketing it, right? That gave you some good steps in terms of marketing your content. Next would be how to schedule it, right? Because that really hits on the time element of getting things out. And I think a lot of people know that there are scheduling platforms out there. Anyone who uses Facebook, for example, knows you can schedule Facebook things in advance. But it's a lot harder to do that with sites like Instagram and Twitter. And if you're trying to manage multiple accounts at the same time, it's just super time consuming to log into Facebook and post it, then log into Twitter and then post it. So there are a couple programs that sometimes you have to pay for, but actually do have free versions, which I don't think a lot of people know, that you can use. And then I'm just going to pause because someone in the chat asked, are the Unsplash and Pixabay videos copyrighted? No, so you can just share them. That's what it says on the slide here. They're free stock photos and royalty free. So they're not copyrighted and you're just free to use them. But like I said, they do sometimes ask that you plug the person, the photographer at the bottom. Some of them just do it themselves. Like when you go to download the image, you'll see in little white letters the photographer's name. That's all though. So you're more than free to put on your website, on your social media, etc. Okay, so scheduling marketing content. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on that question because it was relevant. There are sites like Hootsuite and Buffer. I don't know if anyone's heard of those before. There are also platforms like Sprout Social and some other ones that are more expensive, which is why I'm not talking about them today. But I'm going to go over Hootsuite, and Buffer does some similar things to Hootsuite, but isn't as functional on the free version. But basically, it's a social media management platform where you can post to all of your social media at the same time. One platform, schedule all the posts, and then you can actually measure the return on investment, right? So I said, trying to figure out what your marketing goals are. It'll actually show you, like over here on the left, on the right, what your analytics are. It'll show you how much engagement you got with each post. And then you can say, I got more engagement on Facebook, or I got more engagement on Twitter. That's good to know. This post got more engagement and this post got none. Okay, maybe don't post that one again or change the way it looks, So for no other reason than just that, Hootsuite is a huge win because it helps you measure your marketing, and it's completely free. It just generates those analytics for you. So there are a couple different platforms. Like most of the freemium models, there's limited functionality in the free one, but the good news is there is a free one, right? So if you're trying to manage a ton of different accounts, Hootsuite will eventually make you pay. But if you're only trying to do 3, it's free. Heather just put in the chat, Later is another good option instead of Hootsuite. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, so there are a couple of them out there. I think Hootsuite is probably just the most well-known, besides ones like Buffer and Sprout Social. But if you want the free version, it allows you to do 3 social media. So let's say you have a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, for example. Great, you can use the free account. In case you had more than 3, like you also had a LinkedIn or a Pinterest or something else. I just put the price here, what the professional one is. It's kind of steep, so I'm not necessarily saying I put that there to encourage you to buy it, but just an FYI. It allows you to schedule up to 30 posts in advance, and you can publish them wherever you want, like on the platforms that you have hooked up. And the biggest key here is it helps you save time. It's obviously helping you save some money because there's a free version, and it's got that ROI. So when you start thinking about what my goal is, I just made all of those really great posts on Canva, and I use those great graphics from Unsplash, but are people actually engaging with them? That's the real question, and the Hootsuite analytics or the Buffer analytics show you that. And you're more than welcome to use the free version, as long as it fits your social media. I know a lot of people have the big 4, right? Which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Obviously, the free account only allows you to do 3. So you have to make the call there. If you're more of a professional service, you might want to have, LinkedIn over Instagram. If you're more of like a restaurant or something with a lot of really great pictures, you might want Instagram to be one of your 3. But you have to make that call. For anyone who's never used Hootsuite, it's I'm not going to say it's the most user-friendly. There are some more user-friendly ones out there, but it's free for a reason. It still does the trick, I promise you. I use Hootsuite. I've just used other ones that look prettier, but for a prettier penny. So it's really easy to use. If you look at the left-hand side here, you have Publisher and Analytics, or where you're going to spend most of your time in here. Publisher shows you automatically all of the posts you have going out, and it even gives you the icon to show you which channel you're on, right? So you posted this one on Instagram, you posted this on Twitter. When you're in here, you can choose to create a new post and schedule it to go out on one social media, multiple social media. You can choose the time. If you want to send it out multiple times, you can click send and then duplicate it. This is kind of what that looks like. You can decide if you want to go to both, Twitter and Instagram, or just Xbox out them to use just one of them. You can use any kind of text, upload your media, and click post now or schedule for later. So that's just something that's really cool about Hootsuite. Really easy and user-friendly to just send stuff. So that is just something to consider in terms of making sure that you're scheduling in advance to really help you save time, right? Because when you're in the throes of working on your small business, or you have a huge rush of orders, it can be hard to keep on top of some of that stuff. So being able to schedule content and analyze content, there are 2 different wins there when using those programs. So just a couple other really useful tools that I want to talk about, right? That I think they're in no particular order at this point, because we kind of went through, okay, how do you make some content, and then how do you schedule it? These other tools, I'm going to spend a little bit less time on, just because this is only an hour webinar, but hopefully you'll get some awareness of what it is and how it can be useful for you. And there are just more ways to make your business really elevate its presence compared to your competitors. So I'm sure many of you have probably heard of Google Alerts, and you may or may not be using them. Google Alerts are a really useful way to manage your marketing. And I know when people think of marketing, they don't necessarily think, okay, well, I'm thinking of posting things on social media, and I'm thinking of elevating my website, and what has Google Alerts got to do with that? This comes back to that managing your goals, right? And user-generated content. So if someone mentions your business, you probably want to retweet it, or reshare it, or put it on your blog, or do something with it, especially if it's a good review. If someone said something bad about your business, you would probably also want to know about it, right? But there's so much news going out there, you can't see it all. And then also, you can keep track of competitors, which I think a lot of people don't realize is a really great way to use Google Alerts. You can keep track of what your competitors are doing and look at what their marketing looks like. or what they're saying to their customers, and just kind of keep tabs on how you're doing in the environment. So basically what a Google alert is you sign up and pick a bunch of different keywords that you want Google to tell you when they show up. Like if someone posts about it, or it ends up on a Google article or things like that. When you get to that point, you can decide how often you want to get emails from Google saying that it's seen results. You can do once a day, you can do once a week, in which case it just saves it all and sends you one email once a week with all of the links it found. If it didn't find a link, you don't get an email. But you can have it search for things like incorrect links, like I said, your competition, any customer mentions and things like that. So I highly recommend setting up a Google alert for your name, for your business name, for, if you're a food restaurant, do like Food Restaurants Philly, that kind of thing. You can set up, easily 10 of these. And obviously they won't always pull back results, but it'll give you an idea of the environment, your competition, and if people are mentioning you. And then you can use that content really easily to market yourself. So this is just a step-by-step how to use and set up Google Alerts if you've never done it. I'm not going to run through that now because you'll get the PowerPoint. But if you have never used Google Alerts, that's the step-by-step instruction on how to do so. So this here is something called Bitly links. What a Bitly link is it helps you shorten a really long link so it's easier to share with other people. And like most things, it has a paid account, but there is a free version of Bitly that basically lets you do as much as you need to do as a small business. And it is something that's used widely by individuals, small businesses, Fortune 500. I mean, it's very popular to shorten a link so it's easy for people to find. So for example, instead of sending out a really long link to your website / the product / shopping cart or whatever it is, you want people to be able to remember a link to a specific portion of your website or to your social media or something. And it needs to be something that they could probably easily type in, right? Like, oh yeah, I can type in these about 6 characters really easily. So what it does is you can add a link. So over here on the left, I have, they did Sarah Birch / and then whatever all that crazy longness was. And then it turned it into this small link, which was just a random string of letters and numbers, right? But it's shorter, so it's easier to click on if you're just sharing on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever it is where there's, character count. But you can also customize it. So let's say you were like, this is great and all, but it's still a random string of numbers. No one's going to remember to type that in. You can change it to say, Sarah Burdach / and then whatever let's say your business name is Sarah's Donuts, / Sarah's Donuts, or / Sarah Donut Sale, or anything. And then it's really easy for people to find. Most of the time it's a bit.ly. So it'll say bit.ly / Sarah's Donuts or / Sarah Donut Sale or whatever you want it to say. As long as the link hasn't been used before. Obviously, sometimes you have to get creative because if someone else is already using the link, it's already going somewhere else and you have to pick something else. But it's a really great way to market, especially, for example, if you're on Instagram, and Instagram is really terrible about allowing you to use links like in their descriptions and things like that on your posts. Include a really easy Bitly, really short, and it makes it easier for people to find your content. What's also really cool is Bitly kind of does a similar thing to Hootsuite in terms of analytics, so you can see how often people are clicking your links, which might also be useful in terms of trying to figure out customer turnover, right? So if you have a lot of people clicking a link to a specific portion of your website, but then not actually buying the product on that portion of your website, that might be something to look into, right? So there's a lot of versatility in using a program like this. Venngage is very similar to Canva, but it's focused more on doing infographics and charts. So it's more from a professional standpoint. I'm not sure how many small businesses like in the retail space would need a chart like this, but certainly if you're a service business, like a consultant, an accountant, something like that, you might want to make a basic report that shows, what your funding goals were for the year or what your different services are really easily. So you can see over here down on the left, here are a couple examples. Like this person did a 3 services flyer, right? And it just has like a little icon showing each of the services and a description next to it. So some of that is comparable to Canva, but it's a lot more I'm not going to say professional, but just elevated for really like print and distribution. It also does something really cool, which is it helps you make infographics, which are very popular with like, you know, the millennial and Gen Z age range right now. And if you don't know what an infographic is, it's basically one of those like long strips that lists a bunch of fun facts, but normally has an icon or a picture there to make it more interesting. So in the bottom of this circle on the right, you can see a couple of these long infographic ideas. So it's just another way to kind of play with content. If you're interested, Venngage has a free version. Of course, the paid version has more functionality, but you can use the free version, which I've linked here, if you want to, you know, play around with that. One other project management tool that I love is something called Trello. So we were just talking about why you would use Hootsuite to start helping you schedule content and, you know, plan it ahead of time. Trello is great from a holistic marketing perspective. So if you're trying to keep track of multiple people on your team, or even if it's just you, I use Trello boards just for myself sometimes, and trying to figure out how do I move a project along. Trello, and there are a couple other programs, you know, like Basecamp and things like that, that you can use that help you easily view what you're trying to get done. And you can use it for other things besides marketing, but I think it's very helpful for marketing. Whether you're trying to create new content or decide when to schedule things out, you can use this program. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, but there is a free version for this as well. And it basically takes after the lean startup approach, right? So we're talking about lean methods again. And it creates kind of like a Kanban system where you just like move through a process by moving it through to the next person in the cycle or the next stage of the cycle. So what do all those fancy words I just said mean? Here are two examples of Trello boards. So the example on the left, you can see they added a cool wallpaper on the back. So besides being functional, it's just aesthetically pleasing. You can choose to put a picture in the background and make your team happy, or just, you know, cheer yourself up. Or on the right, they just left it blue. You can change it to purple or whatever. I mean, it's got a lot going on in terms of what you can make Trello look like. And then here are just a couple of examples of how you might want to use it, right? So you can list actions here, like I want to improve SEO. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to click. And then sort them like on what you want to do with it. So do I have long-term actions, short-term? What do I need to discuss? What's way out in the future? So you can use Trello to separate out ideas and just get them down on paper for yourself. Every single one of these tabs you can click and open and add descriptions, connect files, like attach PDFs and things. You can create mini checklists within each of them to kind of keep track of where you're at with each project individually. You can file them under different codes. So like that's what these color codings are. They decided maybe green means marketing and orange means finance or something, for example. And you can color code what your projects are. And then over here on the right is a little bit different of approach, right? This is a to-do, in progress, done style using Trello. So I need to rewrite my Google ads. I need to, you know, put the trade show on in Dallas, for example. When you know it's in progress, you can move it. Like you just literally grab this and pull it over. And then when it's done, you can pull it over again. So it's an easy way to keep track of what you're doing. And from a marketing perspective, it's easy to keep track of things like need to make new flyer or need to update website. And then you can put little notes within each of them, like don't forget to do this. Make sure to change color from X to Y, you know, and really use this to keep track of anything for your business. So I really enjoy Trello. Like I said, it's free, but there are paid versions in case you are interested. When it's free, you can only have up to 10 boards. Excuse me. But what's really cool is it also has an app. So you can have it on your desktop and also download it as an app on your phone, which is kind of cool because then you have your mobile to-do list with you wherever you are. Catherine just said, can it coordinate across devices? Yes. So if you're on your laptop and then you also download the Trello app or also download it on your second laptop or, you know, tablet or whatever it is, it still shows the same information. If you update on one, it updates on it everywhere it is. So it's really useful from a mobile perspective as well. And then lastly, I'm just going to talk really briefly about Hello Bar, which is probably one of the more unknown ones, but this is another freemium, of course. But one of the free things that it does is it can really help lift your website. So if you're someone who has like a, basic website or even a more robust website, but you're just not sure like what the updating process is, especially if you wanted to highlight that there's a sale or a discount or something's happening, you can integrate Hello Bar into your website for free. And these are just examples of some of the different bars it makes. It can add a bar on the top that just, says, contact us or check out upcoming products. I mean, you can use it as a CTA, right? I'm going to say call to action again, creating calls to action on your website. You can have it be an entire page takeover, which basically means if someone logs onto your website, and you've probably had this happen to yourselves right before as well, you go on and it basically is like the giant ad or whatever it is, and you have to click to exit before you see the home screen of that website. So if you're really trying to grab customers' attention, it can create one of those for you. Or it can be a little more subtle, like just a little alert bell or a slider. But I think this is definitely something worthwhile for those of you that have websites and want to elevate it a little bit. It's very easy to start making those calls to actions, especially if you're like, oh, I really have to sell this inventory soon, or oh, I really, want to show people that I have a new product that just came out. Hello Bar helps you create that very easily on your website. And then these are just some of the pricing models, right? I give this just so you know, not because I'm encouraging you to pay for it, but just as an FYI, there is a limit with the free version, as most things, but it's still got some good functionality there for you. You can only have 10 pop-ups at a time. And once you've hit 5,000 views on your website, it makes the pop-up go away. Versus some of the paid accounts, it lets it stay longer. But still very cool. So as promised, these are some links to other really cool resources that I think will be worthwhile to those of you who are looking for what else is out there. There are some from like Trello how-to, or Hootsuite had some great social media tips for how to use social media themselves. Same thing with Canva. They have a whole small business guide. And then a couple other things that I have on here. So hopefully that is some use to some of you that are reviewing it. And then just really quickly making sure you use the right tools, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but if you're looking for engagement management, but for Hootsuite, graphics, you've got Canva and a couple others, et cetera, which you might want to look into if you're looking for a more specific part of marketing, since there's so much going on in the marketing realm. And then I just always put these two spiels down at my last slides for any marketing webinar I do, just focusing on quality over content. And you can really do that with programs like Canva and stuff, but making sure what you post is good and going to reach people and is useful and all of that jazz. Don't just post just to post, right? You're not going to gain as much traction that way. And then you'll get a copy of this PowerPoint, like I said, but here are just some of my tips for how to increase your following. Using new hashtags, trying to integrate video, being consistent, high quality, which hopefully some of these free tools will allow you to do, and using free options to enhance your marketing, like we talked about today. And that's going to help you. This is obviously a very overarching view, right? It's nothing too concrete, but just some ideas to help you as you move forward with some of these tools to utilize them to increase your marketing. And then we're just the digital COE. So everything we do at Temple has a relation to our Digital Transformation Center of Excellence. If you wanted additional services, you are more than welcome to reach out. We have a couple upcoming events that I think will be of interest for some of you. So we're doing like Twitter basics we're doing a social media basics every month. This month is Twitter. SBDC Day, which is a national day to recognize SBDCs, is next Wednesday. And we're doing a 3-part funding series. So for anyone that's interested in how to get a loan or how to do money management, I highly recommend looking at that. You'll get this PowerPoint with all of the links. And that was all from me today. This is how you can contact us if you have any questions. I know that was a lot to run through and I just got us done in the nick of time. But I really think, all of those were worthwhile to discuss, and hopefully you all received some, new tools and ideas for how to use these tools to better inform your marketing. So if you have any questions, I more than encourage you to put it in the chat or in the Q&A. I do see 2 questions here. Does SBDC offer graphic design services? So that's a great question. We are an advising service, which means I can't do the graphic design for you. That's just not what we're funded for by the government. But we will walk you through step by step how to help you. So we have people who have graphic design and marketing experience who will walk you through the process and if you need even like a handhold, like be there with you and watch you do it, they just can't physically like have the computer in their lap doing it for you, because we are considered consultants. The other thing I want to plug is we are about 2 weeks out from opening a Digital Connect student program where we will be asking small businesses to apply to get website updates or graphic design services and things like that. And then we'll pair them with a student group of about 5 people. And they will work on this assignment for you. And in that case, the students are actually working on it. Heather just put something in the chat as well for anyone who's looking for graphic design. All right, I see some people putting questions in the chat, so let me try finding them in here. Let me see, is there an app tool to help you create content, writing? English is my second language. Yeah, so I think in one of the other webinars I did, I mentioned like there's a program called Grammarly. And I know they're not a freemium, right? They have like a free version and a paid version. The small group graphic design program, it's called Digital Connect Student Group. It's on our website. And you are more than welcome to apply now. It'll be launching in about 2 weeks. So at that point, you'll be hearing from us in terms of, pairing you with students. But if you want to get the application in now, you're more than welcome to. And sorry, I totally cut myself off in the middle of that. So yes, Grammarly is great to check your copy for writing. It not only checks grammar if you're struggling with, words and spelling, if English is not your first language, but it also helps you shorten sentences if they were run on. Or if it just things like you could have simplified what you said into 1 word instead of 3. Hello, Rhoda. Yes, the replay will be sent out. So you will all be getting a copy of the video. And let me see, who else we got here? Thank you. So we look for it online. Yes. Yes, it's online already. The application for our Digital Connect student program, the application is live. So you are more than welcome to apply on our website. My only comment to that was the student groups are not available for another 2 weeks. So you can apply now to be one of the first people in. You just won't hear anything, for a little bit. Yep, not a problem. Okay, I think, let me see. Did anyone else have a question they wanted me to answer? You don't have to stay on right now. We're past 12, but I'm more than happy to stay on if anyone had some other questions. I'm going to try looking through the chat and see if there were any questions that got lost in here. Let me see. I think I got to everyone. The only other thing I'm going to do really quickly is for anyone who's attended our webinars before, you know that we are government funded, so we have to include a link to a survey. And this link will also be sent out in the follow-up email. So if you don't get to it now, it's not a huge deal. But we do ask that you fill it out. It's only 4 questions, and you can just let us know what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, especially if there was something you wanted to see more of. I more than encourage you to let us know, because we are running over 100 webinars over the next couple of months, and I'm continuously looking for new content that is relevant to small businesses. The idea is to get some specialists in here to help with that. Dawn said TikTok. Yes, that is in the works. I think we're planning, I know this is far out, so my apologies, but we're planning something in August, September on TikTok. So if you're willing to wait, we just have such a packed schedule. I think in April and May, I already have over 30 events in each month, which is multiple events in a day. So I think someone mentioned TikTok in a different session too. We will be doing it eventually. And someone else said, are there services at SBDC for that? We do have someone who knows TikTok. So I'm not sure if that's what you were asking specifically, but if you had a question about TikTok, we do have a media specialist who has helped small businesses get on TikTok before. So if you want to meet with someone one-on-one, you are more than welcome to do so for that or for any social media. Oh, for branding? Yes, we can help with branding as well. Sorry. Like I said, there's a lot going on in marketing. JS asked, how do we contact our marketing specialist who knows TikTok? You can just request advising on our website, which is temple.edu/SBDC. There is a request advising button. I think right on the left-hand side, it's like a little red button that scrolls with you wherever you go. Once you've submitted that request, you can specifically say, I'm looking for help with TikTok or whatever else it is, and they'll pair you with the correct advisor. We have a variety of advisors that specialize in different areas, so they'll pair you with the one that makes the most sense for you. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to give another minute or two, but you are more than welcome to hop off. Like I said, please fill out our survey, and if you have any other questions, you are more than welcome to reach out. It's been a pleasure. I hope you had a good lunch break, and like I said, look at some of our other upcoming webinars. We have a lot going on in the digital content space going forward. Like I said, there's just so much going on in marketing. We have Constant Contact next Monday if you're looking at email marketing. We're doing Twitter basics. So I highly encourage you to take a look at what else we've got going on. All right, great. And then someone asked if I could resend the survey. I just put that in the chat again. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm going to stay on, like I said, for a couple more minutes, but I'll probably close us out at 1:08, 1:09. And that's it for me today.